Hello. This is the Awful and Awesome Entertainment Wrap, episode 354. This is Rajeshri Sen.
And I'm Abbas Momin.
We are recording in a studio without air conditioning because this is a rough and ready production. And it is 44 degrees out there, people, and it's 32 degrees where Abbas is.
That's true, yeah, with some clouds thrown in for good measure.
Yeah, so we wanted to just set the context so that you realize that this is a work of passion and stress. But we have some interesting stuff this time. So there is Hitman, which is a new film by Richard Linklater. Then there's Eric, the new show with the new series with Benedict Cumberbatch. And we also, so that it's not just Netflix centric, we also have Panchayat season 3. So Abbas has watched all of it, beginning to end, absolutely.
No, I gave up on Panchayat after 2 episodes.
Yeah, so that was the same. Should we start with Panchayat? Should we start with something we liked? What?
I thought when you said this is a passion project, I thought you will say, speaking of passion, let's start with Hitman.
Speaking of, I'm assuming Panchayat is also a passion project for them because they're carrying on making season after season. So, on that note, we are going to, there's one announcement to be made that we have new prints of Kashmir Ki Kahani by Sumit Kumar. I edited that, I would like you to know.
Oh, nice.
My name was very kindly inserted in by Chitranshu. But for the unacquainted, it's a collection of rare stories on Kashmir's history. And it's really well done. It's beautiful illustrations also. And the way the story was woven, the story was worked on by Sumit and Abhinandan. And it's a great way of coming up to speed on the history of Kashmir. And I recommend giving it to youngsters, especially teenagers above the age of 12, 13. And because it's an interesting and easy way to inform them about very important parts of our history in this country. So you can order your copy at newslaundry.com/store. This is what it looks like. It's a hardcover and the comic is just fabulous. I feel like I'm doing that. Someone else does it, na? Ye hai aapka. Like that. Ye hai ek king. King bol rahi hai, like that. But it's a very, very nice comic. And even the other comics that are there, Amar Bari, Tomar Bari, Nakshar Bari and all. So, but definitely pick this up because it's a great collector's edition. So we'll do Panchayat, and since it's the shortest thing we have to comment on. So this is season 3 of Panchayat. It's a TBF series, The Viral Fever, right? That's what it is.
Yes.
And it stars Jitendra Kumar as the protagonist.
Yeah, he's the not Sarpanch, what is it called? The village collector, right?
Yeah, and Neena Gupta is the this thing.
Mukhia's
wife, and then Raghubir Yadav is her husband, who basically is the main person. She's been voted into this position so that because something happened. So I never watched season 2, I have to say. I did really like season 1 though. I had really enjoyed season 1, and this is set in a small village it's a fictional village in Uttar Pradesh, and this guy has studied, he wants to do, Jitendra Kumar wants to, the character he plays, he wants to take his cat and do an MBA and all that. That is his aim. But before that, he has got this job, and at least in that first season, he was quite passionate about this job that he had got. And he also falls in love with Raghubir Yadav and Neena Gupta's daughter.
Pradhan's daughter, yeah.
Rinki. And you see all sorts of people. You see the MLA who this village falls under. Then you see the MLA secretary. And it's very slice of life that what I gathered, which I've forgotten because I saw season 1 much before, is that each episode pretty much also talks about one separate incident. Like there'll be a sweet
Yes.
incident, and then you meet the characters and all, and it either gets how the Pradhan Mantri, that Yojana which gives houses to people,
Yes.
how you can get that assigned to yourself. So they show it's not like he's playing this black and white good boy character, because he gives in under pressure to, let's assign a house to someone, let's do, and the kind of things that people do to get their way in villages and in India.
Yeah, in rural
Basically.
India.
But I just found it like you knew that it's going to be incident after incident one. And I didn't
Yeah.
find any of it that interesting.
So the one of the major threads that they follow is from the end of season 2.
Okay.
The character played by Faisal Malik, Prahlad,
Huh.
right? So he's grieving because his son has passed away. Okay, his son is supposed to be a soldier.
Yeah.
Now that because you didn't see season 2, Rachri, that literally was like the last 15 minutes of the last episode of season 2.
Okay.
It just came out of nowhere.
Huh.
That Prahlad's son has died. He's a soldier. We didn't really spend any time with that character. We're just supposed to feel sad for him.
Okay.
And then I felt that was such a manipulative move for this show. So my broad sort of feelings about it is season 1, I think, was nice. It was pleasant.
Yeah.
It was also funny. Now, I don't know, it was because it came at the height of lockdown that we all sort of took to it, that we were yearning for something that's like nice and simple to watch. Then season 2, they tried to build up upon it, and this ending was so manipulative that I was very put off by it. So I was like, okay, season 3, I hope they go back to the roots, but they do something really weird where in the first episode, this Jitu Bhaiya is not there at all. Like, I think he's there for one scene in the beginning, and then he's not there at all. And they try to, they have this Prahlad ka grieving storyline going on. And I just thought all of it, like, where is the comedy? It was supposed to be a comedy show. Where has that gone? And the simplicity of it is also not there anymore. So it just seems like it's the villain from the second season that jiska meme bahut viral hua tha, wo Binod, dekh rahe ho Binod, that villain.
Yeah.
He's also there scheming in the background. So they've literally just tried to be like, let's elongate the things that work.
Yeah,
for
so
it
it felt very like pulled, like every story has been pulled to stretched absolutely. Also, I feel that when Panchayat came out, at that point there were also a whole spurt of all these shows set in rural India. So that charm of seeing, the MLA behaves like this and it's such an oddity and eccentricity and all, that charm has gone. You're like, okay, we know people behave like this. It's like, we don't have to keep laughing at the same joke because it stopped being funny now. So I think that's the other thing, that it's no longer new. Like, they've taken a theme and setting and wrung it dry pretty much.
True, yeah. I think that the whole concept of city boy falling in love with rural life, they closed that loop in season 1. Now they can't keep doing that again and again and again.
Yeah.
There's only so many times he can be like, "Arey, gaon ki to baat hi kuch hai." Like,
also, I'm like, dude, they also show that his flat and all in Bombay or wherever he is. He's not in Bombay. I don't know where he is. It's just fancy. Like, he's from a very well-off family. So I just found that thing that he's willing to give all that up for. See, the first one, he didn't know what he was getting into. But over here, you're like, I don't know, nothing was really making too much sense. It did not seem very logical. Let's put it that way. The decisions that people are shown taking in this. And another thing I have to say, Neena Gupta has really come into her own again after many years, right?
Yes.
She's also started looking more and more beautiful and contemporary, and it's like Zeenat Aman now.
Yes.
They've all started looking really good again. And she's not really passing off very well as a village sarpanch's wife, as opposed to that first season. So it was all a little, I just found it, I didn't find any of the characters seeming as interesting. The story also did not seem particularly, this house one, that, you know, how that woman gets a house assigned to herself. like everything I felt could have been concised into a half an hour episode. As
I
opposed
agree.
to
Yeah, I
3.
think this time even the episodes are longer. They're like
It's
40, 50
long.
minutes.
That's the other thing. So maybe my patience levels are less now. But I think they've done this to death now. And there should
I
not
agree,
be a
yeah.
season 4.
So actually, just to add to this, there's also another TVF show called Gullak, which is on
Which I've
Sony
been
Live.
hearing. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. So that show premiered its 4th season, I think, a couple of days ago, and clearly that's the superior show because it's about this small town middle class family. That's also, I think, set in a small town in UP. But that show is way funnier. I think it has better actors also, and it actually takes a few risks. Like in the first episode I saw for Gullak season 4, it has to do with the whole bulldozer justice that he gets this notice that
Yeah.
your house is going to be razed down, and then the father actually fights against it. So I thought that compared to Panchayat, where they rarely, if ever, talk about like the societal inequalities or any tensions. Like I get that you're making a feel good show, but it just seems like everybody gets along with everyone in Panchayat, and there's just bad guys and good guys.
Yeah,
And
there's no in between.
There's no gray area in between. Yeah. So I think Gullak is a better show. So maybe give that a chance as compared to Panchayat season 3. But yeah, season 1 of Panchayat I think is good. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
I liked it. Season 2 and 3 though I gave up after 2 episodes.
Yeah, I watched
don't
3. I was more dedicated than you. I'm also a bigger loser, clearly. But
Do you
I
like
would.
that guy though, the guy Jitu Bhaiya? Because he plays the same thing in everything, I think. that
Yeah.
actor.
He's now, and there are lots of this also I found very weird, but these are all people, they have to write news reports, so you have to come up with an article that he's
Yeah.
been paid more than anyone else in Panchayat, but he's the bloody protagonist, na? He's supposed to
Yeah.
like you can't
He
say,
got
oh,
paid-
Nina
he got
Gupta
paid-
should get paid more because she is
Exactly,
older.
yeah.
It's not based on age. So this is also a very weird thing, but he plays the same character everywhere, right?
Yes, in
Kota
I think
Factory.
Kota Factory. Then there's a couple of these TVF shows. He's the breakout TVF star. I think he was in Pictures also, if I'm not wrong.
He is very good
TVF
though
Pictures.
in this role.
He's watchable. Yeah, he's good.
So they all
But
act well. I have to say that everything is fine, but it's like what is new?
yes, exactly.
Nothing.
He was also in that film, the Ayushmann film, Shubh Mangal Zyada Savdhan.
Was he there
Along with him.
also? I've forgotten.
Yes, he was.
Oh, I've forgotten only now. But we would say if you have nothing to do and you watch season 1 and season 2, then watch it.
No, I'd say if you have nothing to do, do nothing.
Do
Don't watch
nothing,
Panchayat.
really. It was also, they are very long episodes. I don't mind
Yeah,
when
yeah,
something
yeah.
is a 30-minute episode. I'm like, okay, I
Agreed.
can watch 4 episodes, but this was not. This is 47, 48 minutes. But I will read an email which I have something to say about. RB has said, I really enjoy the banter between Abhinandan and Rajeshri during the podcast, but this week's review in inverted commas for Manjumal Boys only showcased Rajeshri's classist mentality. Yes, the men were obnoxious, but if Miss Rajeshri had been able to look beyond that, she would have seen that even a group of ordinary, flawed human beings can achieve something extraordinary in the face of adversity. Ignoring the film's superior camera work, set design, background score, acting, and instead choosing to talk only about how loud they were, only goes to show her disdain for the working class. It seems like she feels only sophisticated people are allowed to take vacations. Okay, RB. Now, one is working class people can also be well-mannered. You don't have to get drunk. You don't have to lech at women. You don't have to be boisterous. That is not, being working class is not an excuse for it. And just so you know, lots of sophisticated people also display the same behavior. That doesn't mean that I would like them. I think when people go out in public places, and especially on holiday as a woman who travels alone, sometimes who travels with other women, it is the most scary thing to see a group of drunk men looking at you and ogling you or passing a comment or just picking up a fight when you are in the vicinity, because it is very difficult to just feel safe. And I said the camera work and all is super, but I felt no sympathy for the characters. Now, what can I do? Everyone doesn't have to have the same view. That's my piece.
True.
I'm sorry. I can say a joke now if you want to lighten the moment. I can't think of one right now, but when it comes to me. Do you disagree with what I'm saying, why I said it?
Yeah, I do. Although even though I liked Manjumal Boys on the whole as a film, no, I was saying that I like it when listeners in their email express their anger in such a way, because he's put review in inverted commas.
The review is also in inverted commas. Sophisticated it also. Review is also. You should have put my name also in inverted commas. Rajashri has said this. You mustn't, don't be so angry, RB. It's not nice. And you must enjoy your banter, no? Banter here. Even if it's not review, it is banter. For sure.
That is true, yes.
And on that note, we are going to discuss something that we both liked, I'm assuming. Hitman.
Are we talking about Hitman?
Yeah. Did you like?
I have opinions.
You have opinions?
Okay, tell me.
Opinions?
I have opinion in quotes, yes.
Yeah.
Are we talking spoilers?
Yeah. Okay. So everyone who is listening and who doesn't like spoilers, you'll get upset and all that. Please go watch Hitman first, then you log on again. The film, it's just a 2-hour film or something, right? It wasn't a long film.
Yeah, an hour 55 minutes.
Yeah, so like watch it and come back to this, because now we are going to give spoilers.
So I'll broadly tell you my non-spoiler view of it. By and large, I enjoyed the film.
No, so who's in it? Let's say all that. Richard Linklater has directed it. He's also co-written it with Glenn Powell, who is the new flavor of the season. A lot of people find him very hot. I don't find him very hot.
What? I find him hot, and I'm straight.
There's something, there's something very chikna about him. Okay. Isn't he? He looks like he's unpolished, clean or something. No, so I don't think he's particularly, like, he's not ugly at all, but he's not my type of looks. But he's a big, women really like him.
Yeah.
And he has co-written, so I found that fascinating that he's co-written the screenplay. Also, this film is based on, and I read the article, we'll have the link to the article below. It's based on an article which came out in the Texas Monthly magazine, written by Skip Hollandsworth. It's about a real life person who was doing, basically, who was a hitman.
Actually, you missed an opportunity to say we will send you the link later.
We'll send you the link.
Get it?
So it is based on this. Skip Hollandsworth used to write on crime, basically, but he does these like profiles and all. And because when you're watching the film, it seems a little ludicrous that this can't be.
It is.
But it is the true, like, it's not the entire thing isn't his life. But there was a man who was doing this job, and then it's taken it forward from there.
Yeah.
And it also stars Adria Arjona. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing her name correctly or not. She plays his love interest in the film. And the story is that this is set in New Orleans, and there's a man who is a teacher, this Gary Johnson. He's a professor of psychology and philosophy at the New Orleans University of New Orleans. But he also works undercover with the New Orleans Police Department.
Yeah.
To uncover people who want to take out hits on.
Yeah, essentially people who give supari to take someone down. He plays the quote-unquote hitman who will do the job for them.
Yeah.
But he's wearing a wire, so he records them confessing to wanting to take someone's life.
Yeah.
And then they get arrested because there is an intent for criminality.
Yeah.
So he's playing that job of a fake hitman to get these people arrested.
Yeah, and the interesting part about his character was, this character who Skip Hollands wrote about, is this guy used to actually get into character. Like he would adopt different characters for personalities for each undercover sting operation that he was doing.
Yes.
And he was this very straight-laced professor otherwise. He was an innocuous, sweet professor otherwise. And now you see what your observation.
So of course the story gets interesting where one of his potential clients happens to be this really beautiful woman who wants to get her husband killed because she's in an abusive marriage. And because he feels for this woman, he actually doesn't do the job for her. And then things unravel from there. Now, my thing is, I think Richard Linklater is trying to make a dark comedy, all right?
Yeah.
Because the romance then develops between this woman who wants to get her husband killed, but she's fallen for someone who kills for a living, all right? So we are supposed to find this funny somehow. That these two people essentially want to take people's lives. One of them in theory does, but they are also in love. They are also they also have this passionate love for each other. And then as there's a backstory of an ex-cop who has been suspended because he was found doing something wrong, and because of which he was suspended, whose place our protagonist has taken, correct? The Glenn Powell character. Now this is where the spoilery stuff comes in. The end of the film literally has both of them killing this character. Okay, they put
and another. She's also killed that other guy. She's killed her husband.
Killed her husband. Yes. And then there is no consequence for it. Like in the end, we're supposed to be happy. They literally portray this as a happy ending. Oh, it's sunshine and they have.
But did you think it was a happy ending, or did you feel they portrayed that sometimes bad people get away with doing horrible things?
So if that was the intention, that did come across, because the ending is this picture perfect movie ending for me. And I'm like, why should I root for two people? One of them has killed her husband. The other one, so there is.
And she's killed the other guy. She's the one who he just does the last moment.
दूसरे को they both like planned to kill. Like he's on the floor suffocating, and
I did like that sequence though, where he's taking his last breath behind them, and they are saying they love each other.
So the true line in the film, I think the writers are trying to say that this dark side of the character was always inside him, right? He's a psychology professor. So the fact that he takes this interest and dresses up for this hitman thing, that means he has this internalized fantasy inside him that I wish I was a hitman. I was actually doing these things, but I can't. And then towards the end, we are supposed to be like, okay, now he's actually getting to live out this weird side of his fantasy because he's met someone who will actually murder for love. But my thing was like, yaar, why am I rooting for either of these? Like, I'm scared such kind of people are. If this couple is out there, I'm scared for my life.
And they've had children and all, and they are in this picture perfect.
Like, what if the child finds out that mummy papa ne
kill the child also. They are quite cold-hearted. No, but if it's a Quentin Tarantino film, and in Kill Bill and all, so many horrible people are like
Kill Bill, the violence is almost comical. People are getting beheaded and blood is flowing everywhere.
It's very cool. I love it.
And it's a cartel happening. You show me that, I'll believe it. But this is supposed to be like real people in a real setting. And then suddenly they're killing people for love. I'm like, this is
for love, but love is a good reason to kill people. So
Is it right?
So I was at a dinner the other day, and I said, I didn't mean it like that, but I just said it. I said, if I commit a murder, I feel I can commit a murder and not get caught.
Regret.
And there was someone who's very high up in the Navy was sitting there, and he looked. I didn't realize that he took what I said seriously. And after dinner, he said, I can't get over how you said that. That you'd really believe that you would say. I said, now I can't commit a murder because you will say that she said it at the dining table. So obviously, but I said, I don't think I'd feel bad, really. If I wanted, so that was, she had a motive might have been not that I don't think the husband was abusive. I think she just didn't like maybe he was also abusive, but she wanted that money.
So in that one scene, they said, there's a scene where they coming out of the nightclub and they show this husband trying to get his wife back. So they paint him as a despicable person. Now, if he dies, I'm not sad. The other cop wasn't that bad. I'm like, why did you kill that other cop?
I just felt that cop could have not been killed also. But they had to kill him to save themselves. It's survival of the fittest.
But then that's what. So then you paint him as this despicable guy who'll do anything to get his
Sometimes
job back.
Good people also have to die for the cause. But I thought it's a big departure for Richard Linklater to be making a film like this. Because so for people who don't know, and if you haven't watched these films, and you should, Before Sunrise. He made Before Sunrise with Ethan Hawke and what is her name? Something Delvey.
Julie Delpy.
Delpy. Yeah. And then he made Before Sunset also. And it's lovely. It's all conversation. And it's a really, Before Sunrise is especially a beautiful film. So from there and sweet romance and unrequited love and all, to have this man who is man and woman who seem to not have any compunctions because they found love finally in their lives.
Yes.
That is a big departure. It shows range on Richard Linklater's part.
Yes.
I was also impressed. So nowadays, I always used to look at who the EPs and all are. This is executive produced by Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman,
Yeah. So I find that quite fascinating, that sometimes the most unlikely people are EPs on these, like, films which you would not connect to them usually.
Yeah.
And also that is there. But I did think it was a nice watch.
It is a nice watch. Yeah, I would give it that. Like, I was never bored for a second.
Yeah.
And
he's
all the performances
fun.
are very good.
Glenn Powell is fun to this thing, because I saw this other film with him and Sydney Sweeney.
Yes.
Anyone But You.
Yes.
You feel like shooting him and Sydney Sweeney and then yourself also. It's the worst kind of rom-com. And they are supposedly very good looking in that. Like, if you like them, I think it's for people who are fans of Sydney Sweeney. And
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, Glenn Powell, Sydney Sweeney is like the female version of that. Now, a lot of men are in love with Sydney Sweeney right now.
Yeah, so the same. So that film, though, Glenn Powell showed no acting prowess. In this, he's acting, and he's clearly is capable of scripting a film also. So I felt those things which have nothing to do really with what the film is. These side things. See, look at Jason Bateman. Look at these. Look at Glenn Powell. But I think it's after a long time also, I'll tell you, normally I find nowadays every film is so deep and dark and intense. I'm like, there's a war going on here. There's a war going on there. Look at who's been voted into power in India again. Then I'm watching one depressing film. You're just like something light. So this is light if you don't analyze as much as Abbas has. That why are these bad people being... Bad people are very happy, as you can make out if you look at politics. Okay?
Yeah, that's very true.
So maybe it's just a commentary on life, basically.
Oh my God.
But you have to read that article which it's based on. Because that guy is really, like, when you're reading it, you'd be like, this can't be a real person. So it is based on a real person. So it's worth. I would recommend watching it.
Yeah, even I would. My problems were only with the last 15, 20 minutes. Up till then, I think the film is pretty good.
You know what would have made it a little bit more maybe palatable is if they'd shown him looking hesitantly at her at the end also. Like, because you don't know whether she's going to bump him off next now.
Yes.
Because she's bumping off people very calmly and happily.
Yes.
So they should have shown some hesitation on his part.
I agree. Yes.
So there is a mail from Concerned Uncle. Okay, 2 things. Abhish's IMDb page says he is one of the oldest faces in the Indian comedy scene. Oldest. I'm glad I don't have an IMDb page. What will they write about my face? Who knows who's written his? And the second point of concern uncles made is I have an aunt who's quite an old lady now who believed women are more prone to brain tumors because of long hair pulling the brain down. I think Miss Sen will get along brilliantly with her. She did not get brain tumor, just like Miss Sen won't get testicular cancer. I am glad I could send such emails to two awesome people who can take a joke. You know, everyone's dissing what I said, but it's not so far-fetched, by the way. So, Ishita has written...
Oh, this is about the cycle. Wala.
About the... It is true.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I will not give up this train of thought at all, ever. I just want everyone to know. Ishita has written, hello guys. Going straight to the point, I started watching this show on Z5, The Broken News. It stars Jaideep Palawat, Shriya Pilgaonkar and Sonali Bendre, a very nice star cast. More importantly, the show is about news channels, the Indian media, corporates and so on. I want Abhinandan's take on the show. I'm the one who's watched the show, but also Manisha and others. Don't name me only. Another idea, if you guys could do an episode on depiction of news media and cinema and get Manisha on that episode too. The American show, The Newsroom, created by Sorkin, is one of my favorites, but if you guys have more to share, would be interesting. Kudos to all the amazing work done by the team. The show that you should actually also watch is The Morning Show. What is it called? The Morning Show?
Yes.
It is very much a commentary on how big business tries to interfere with news. John Hamm's character is very loosely based on Elon Musk's character and Tesla.
Oh, okay.
And so it's definitely worth watch, Ishita. And of course, there are some parts which are stretched. Like it has Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston and all that.
Aniston, yeah.
But it's a very, very strong commentary on the news ecosystem currently. Yeah. So there's one more show that I watched.
Yeah. I watched 3.5 episodes.
Which is not bad.
And yeah.
Okay, so Eric is the new miniseries, the Netflix miniseries starring Benedict Cumberbatch. I think this is I know that it's his first miniseries for Netflix or Netflix.
For Netflix.
Anything
yes.
for Netflix.
Yeah.
And in this, it's created by Abby Morgan. Benedict Cumberbatch plays this. It's set in a time before cell phones.
Yeah,
right?
Set in the 80s.
80s, and they are in New York. They live in New York. He is the son of a real estate tycoon, but he has nothing to do with his family. He has created this show called Good Morning Sunshine, and he is a puppeteer. And they are puppets like Fraggle Rock. Have you watched Fraggle Rock, Abbas?
No, I haven't. But I've seen the Muppet Show.
Yeah, so
Sesame
Muppets,
Street,
Fraggle Rock. So Fraggle Rock was very big also. And Yellow Big Bird. You know, Big Bird.
That's from the Muppets only.
That's the Muppets only, right? So the same. It's those kind of puppets, like big, like where people are inside the puppets and all that. And Good Morning Sunshine is set in New York. And it's a very popular show. It has some characters who are a little rude and adult and so on. So it's not like a baby. Like it's not a show for like a sweet little show. And he is married to this woman who is, I couldn't really figure out what her job was, but she's a working person who she does something. She looks at contract.
She's upset most of the
Yeah,
of the
she's
time
upset most of the time. And they have a very, very sweet, cute son who looks like he's 10 years old, I think. He's a 10-year-old boy. And he spends a lot of time, like after school, he will go back with his father to his father's office. And he watches Benedict Cumberbatch doing his, like creating puppets and the storyline and so on. And one day when he is to leave for school, the night before, his parents have this big fight, and in the morning they let him walk 3 blocks down to his school, but he goes missing. And the entire series is about how his father and mother, do they find him or not?
Yeah.
Basically.
Right.
And So I watched the entire thing. I think there are 7 episodes or
6
6
episodes.
episodes.
Yeah.
And I quite liked it. Okay, but I did think the relationship with the parents was shown very well, I felt. And there's this dark underbelly to New York, which they get to. Also to the NYPD also is not to be trusted.
You forgot to mention a very crucial aspect of the show, which is a magic realist aspect of...
what am I? Yeah. I've forgotten Eric. Eric is. Eric is this. Sorry, I'm getting old. Eric is. I knew I was missing something very big. So the most interesting part of the show, actually, which is the most absurd part also, if you look at it like that, is this young boy. He clearly emulates his father, but is also, you realize that he's very scared of his father later through the series it comes out. But he draws much like his father does, and he's created a monster. And this monster is Eric, and he says what? And his father, at that time, before he goes missing itself, the boy goes to the costume department and she gives him the cloth, which he chooses what fur the Eric will have. Yeah. And Benedict Cumberbatch, when this boy goes missing, decides to create Eric on the show, and that Eric will be a way of getting his son to believe that his father loves him and I should come back, all that. But Eric takes on a personality of his own, and he is like an alter ego, or like he's just another personality in Benedict Cumberbatch's head. You'll see it's very nicely done, because when he's walking through New York, Eric is walking along with him. And he also talks to Benedict Cumberbatch is clearly a little unhinged, that there's no doubt about, and he's an alcoholic and he's an addict. He is an addict, and he starts talking to Eric, basically.
The imaginary Eric, yes.
The imaginary Eric. And then what happens? You see it. So
I quite like the fact that they've actually used Eric as a huge puppet instead of like a computer generated effect. And also that Benedict Cumberbatch is voicing Eric also. So I think that also was a really nice touch. I really liked, so far the show that I've seen, 3.5 episodes, I'm very fascinated by missing even people
I am,
and murder mysteries. And to add to that whole pastiche of 80s New York, I think is very very glitzy and glamorous to look at. I think the whole 70s 80s New York has been glamorized so much in pop culture, like the early Scorsese films, and also in this particular show there's one particular nightclub that one police officer keeps frequenting. So that whole dark underbelly of
and
a
that
big
racism
city.
thing also, that very strong because NYPD was known for, it still is known for its racism. It's been dealt with a little bit right now, maybe they've toned it down. But 80s and 70s, like it was synonymous with racism. So that it's this black police officer who is in charge of missing children. Then the AIDS thing, that entire, there's a...
that hasn't been revealed so far.
Here's a spoiler, Abbas. There's a full storyline of the AIDS crisis, which was happening in America at that time. That entire thing of... So if you all haven't watched this film, it's called The What Heart? I will just find it and tell you all. Okay. But it is about... how gays were looked at in America at that point, how they were considered the people who had spread AIDS everywhere, that you won't touch someone who has AIDS. So that is a very strong storyline which will come out as well. And I just felt it had many, many layers which were fabulous, absolutely. Yeah. And the wife and husbands, again, you almost don't, for me at least, the mother does a lot to look for that child though. But at certain points you're like, God, she's so horribly unhappy all the time. And he's also, everyone's so unhappy in that. So
Yeah, that is true. I mean, when you're talking about dark and depressing shows, I was thinking about, yeah, we're going to talk about Eric in a few minutes. So it's not technically it's not the show doesn't pull you down. I think the mystery aspect of it keeps you hooked on, at least for the first 2-3 episodes. Then I think we do realize something about the missing boy in the third episode. But I really like the visual aspect of it, the whole neon driven 80s look
Yeah.
of the show. I just want to mention that so the Benedict Cumberbatch character is loosely based on Jim Henson, who used to be this star puppeteer, who's the creator of the Muppets. And Jim Henson, actually, there is a documentary on him which has come on Hotstar called Jim Henson Idea Man. So I think you can do a nice double feature. If you watch Eric, you can also check out the Jim Henson documentary. But did you like Benedict Cumberbatch in it? I thought that the whole him being alcoholic and spiraling down thing came out a little suddenly, because in the first episode they don't really give a hint to it, and then suddenly
But
you
I
start
think
seeing.
that was something which a lot of alcoholics are like that, right? They seem perfectly
Right.
normal they're so good at hiding their
Right.
addiction that only someone living, even people living with someone sometimes can't figure out how
That they're alcoholics,
addicted
yeah.
they are, right? So I thought that actually was shown very well, that
Okay.
he's actually, and you'll get to that in their house. There's a point where they're cleaning up the house and there are bottles coming out of everywhere. He has just shoved it in any and every little place. The part which jarred for me, but that is the way an addict will be, when he's looking for his son, you'll get to that later. There's a point where he sort of goes on a bender and he could have just saved his son, is right there. But he's out of it totally. So he doesn't even know that his son is, like, if he walks a little 100 meters forward, his son is actually over there. So that part, I think it's a very unlikable character, Benedict
Correct.
Cumberbatch's. Like
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah,
end,
yeah.
like he is looking for his son, all that. And he does not, it's not like he doesn't care about his son. But his character is not like, I can just imagine being married to someone like that.
Yeah.
So the addiction part I actually thought made sense.
Okay.
But there are many layers to various characters and backstories which come out, which is
Right.
that's the part I like. It is a very depressing show though.
Okay.
And it towards the end it gets a little better, but it is like, it's not like everyone has a happy life or something.
Yeah. It's still very watchable. Like
It's
every
very
episode, I
watchable, yeah.
wanted to watch the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not like so bleak that you're like, oh my God, I can't
Yeah.
take it anymore, that kind of thing.
True.
But
Yes.
I'm just, I have to say, this world of digital streaming, the kind of shows that they are making with very, very big stars. I think where you could make this into a film also, I suppose, but that
True. Yeah.
they have the money to pay these stars to do
Yeah,
really
yeah.
big roles. Because I started watching Man in Full, the one
Okay.
with Jeff Daniels,
okay.
Diane Lane and all. And you know, it's like, wow, you got Jeff Daniels to do this 6-part series, which is just fabulous. Absolutely. It's created by David E. Kelly. It's one of
okay.
those shows.
Yeah,
It's like Succession. It's sort of like Succession. It has that same tone and all. So I think that these big stars are doing these films for
True. Yeah.
Netflix and shows and all.
Streamers.
Netflix, Amazon, whatever. Like Kate Winslet's that show, I loved The Regime.
Yeah, Mayor of Easttown.
No, and The Regime.
Oh, The Regime.
Have you
Okay.
watched The Regime?
No, I haven't watched
You
The
have
Regime.
to watch it. She plays
I'll
an
watch it.
unhinged dictator.
Okay.
It is so funny. And she's
And
so...
you found that very relatable.
I found it very relatable. If only our unhinged dictator was as amusing, but he's not.
True.
It could be anyone. I could be talking about anyone.
Yeah, it could be
I'm just
anyone.
saying.
True.
Like, don't
Yeah.
come at us. But I would recommend watching Eric. I think
Yes.
people with children might find it a little this thing, but even you all should watch it. It has lessons for parents, I feel.
Okay.
Spoken like
Hey,
a
one
non-parent.
last thing I want
Yeah.
to say, since we're talking about puppets. Rachri, do you remember like this is a 90s kid thing, okay? This one show which used to come on ZTV, and I've been watching, like, there's so much nostalgia porn happening. People are resurrecting all this. This one puppet show nobody seems to remember. It used to come on ZTV. It was a puppet show. It was called Jungli Tufan Tire Puncture. Do you remember? Do you have any memories?
I remember the name, but I have not watched
this. So
there
were two characters. One was Jungli Tufan, the other was Tire Puncture. And Jungli Tufan was this green wild puppet. And Tire Puncture was like this lit sort of, small guy. And no 90s kids seem to have a memory of this. So if anybody listeners of Awful and Awesome on News Laundry, if you guys remember it, please put it in the comments or send us a mail. Because I really want to know, where are the Jungli Tufanians out there?
There's a Instagram handle called Jungli Tufan Tire Puncture, but it has nothing to do with this show. It's a man. I don't know why he's...
I'll DM him later on.
I've never seen It's like Sesame Street, basically.
It's like Sesame Street. There's not even an archival footage or like grainy video of this on YouTube.
Are they on hand? Are they hand puppets?
Yes, they're hand puppets.
I don't remember seeing this at all, I have to say.
So if there are listeners out there who remember this show, please let us know. Because I want to know where you people are.
Yeah, because I have not heard of this. I've heard of it, but I never watched it. So that other film that I was saying that everyone should watch, it's called The Normal Heart. It has Mark Ruffalo in it. It's about this the AIDS crisis in America, and how, like, it's about a couple, and Julia Roberts is there, the lawyer who fought for changes to be made in how...
Did you say it's about Kapil?
No.
Kapil Sharma.
A couple.
Oh, a couple.
It's not about Kapil Sharma. And we have another letter though. 1 second. Anirban has written, Dear ANA team, at around 43:15, 43 minutes, 15 seconds, Abhish Matthews suggested that the Indian national anthem was written to welcome a king. Anirban, did you notice that I rolled my eyes and I did not say anything because I felt that I should not be rude? So I just rolled my eyes. I let it roll, basically, because anyone can say anything, but one does not have to react every time. But what you are saying is correct. I am surprised that no one corrected it. This is a lie that was reported by some contemporary English newspapers and keeps resurfacing despite being debunked many times, including one rebuttal by the BBC. Tagore himself was offended and wrote about this in a letter. Also, if you listen to the fourth song, in the fourth stanza, the Adhinayak is referred to as Mata. So my grandmother was in college in Shantiniketan when the anthem was written. Rabindranath Tagore, her family, and her family, our family, and the Tagores were very close. They still are. But this had nothing to do with any king or anything. It was called Jono Gono Mono, and it was about the country. It was then taken and made into the national anthem. He had not written it for it to be the national anthem.
Right.
But everyone has theories, and I also have a theory on testicular cancer, which everyone's saying is incorrect. That doesn't mean it's incorrect. And Jagrup Kaur has written, Hello, this is my first time writing to you. This is about me. You using obnoxious and Punjabi synonymously forced me to write. Don't know if that was a joke or what, but just wanted to say that sometimes these jokes don't come across as jokes. I would accept that it depends on one's mood too. I'm sure if I was in a better mood, I would have laughed at that comment as I have done in the past. But I think at some point, jokes don't sound okay anymore. Or I'm just sad. But I have been hearing a lot of hatred lately directed at Punjabis, especially Sikhs. I don't need to tell you what we are... don't need to repeat what is being said about us. So you just kind of get demoralized sometimes. But it's okay, such is life. It was not meant seriously, although some Punjabis can be obnoxious, I have to say. But people say so many things about bongs also. You mustn't take
I was
things
about to say that Abhinandan keeps equating bongs with being elitists all the time.
Yeah, elitist, loud, lazy. So many things. I would be a wreck. This thing, Jagrup, if I took what he said seriously. Everyone's making fun of Mamta Banerjee and all the time. We also feel hurt. It's not that we don't feel hurt. We just, nobody
yeah, but
listens.
you just write poetry about it.
Yeah,
You
we
don't
also
write
write
names.
poetry about it. Don't be hurt. I'll say things about others also. Don't worry about it. I'm an equal opportunity offender. And Shivam Tyagi has written School of Rock is seriously an amazing piece of work. Thanks for recommending it. A movie I'd recommend would be Bridge to Terabithia, marketed as a kids movie, but it's quite mature in its content. I also want to thank Abhi for being there. I can't remember crying in any movie ever, except at the end of Dead Poet. See if you can hold it in there. But yeah, I'd rather watch a show alone than with a crybaby. I'm not a crybaby, Shivam. I'll come and beat you up if you speak like this. I feel I relate to the panelists more when you are there. Too bad he's
Aw.
not there then today. Right? Huh.
By the way,
Anyway.
School of Rock also a Richard Linklater film.
Oh, see? Such a good
Yes.
film that was. So after School of Rock and all, I'm quite impressed he's made Hitman.
Hitman, yeah. No, but he's written, Abhi, thanks for being there, as in he's talking to Abhinandan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not like Abhi. Like, thank you for being there now. Abhi, he's saying. He doesn't realize even Abhinandan cried in this thing, by the way, in Interstellar. And he was
Oh,
like, he
really?
tried to wipe his tear and he thought I hadn't seen. But I see everything. Okay. So what if I cried in Chennai Express? It's okay. One part
That
I
was
cried.
For a different
Yeah,
reason.
it was one part I cried. God, that film, what a film that was. Oof. So that's all we have for you today. It's a mixed bag, good, bad, and better. But we will be back next week with, that's something I wanted to watch. Presumed Innocent. I'm going to watch Presumed Innocent, which stars Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh,
And
really?
it's
Okay.
it's on Apple. It's starting from
Apple.
today. And it's
Sounds like an Apple
yeah,
TV
it's supposed
show.
to be very good. And Harrison, what a thing to say. Harrison Ford played this role in 1990 or something.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I wanted. That is Harrison Ford has played. So I feel I should
But
watch.
he's not in this one, right?
No,
'Cause
maybe
Harrison
he'll
Ford is like
come in as a...
85.
He's
Wow,
very
okay.
hot still. For an 85-year-old Harrison Ford is pretty hot, I feel.
It's true.
But
He was also shirtless in the new Indiana Jones.
then... But that, I think they did CGI and all. That's like Salman Khan
Maybe.
being shirtless. He doesn't look the way he does in real life. But thank you, Mr. Momin.
And thank you, Miss Sen.
And it's a wrap.
Journalism at News Laundry is powered by the public. Because when the public pays, the public is served. Visit newslaundry.com/subscription and pick a payment plan of your choice. Pay to keep news free and independent. Your future, and indeed the future of democracy, depends on it.